Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Instagram is HiddenTracks99. Today, I'm excited to have Cody Weaver, country music star, on here today with me. This is our first country music artist that we will be promoting. We're very excited to do this. We're going to be having a country month with just country artists. And first and foremost, Cody, thank you so much for joining the podcast today. I really appreciate you coming on.
Hey, Shane. Thanks so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, I want to start off by saying that I really appreciate that you are sticking to the roots of country music. I believe it's a breath of fresh air from the bubblegum pop country that's out there. I can honestly say I'm not the hugest fan. I grew up listening to country music, and I love that true folk bluegrass country twang with country music. And I got to say, thank you so much for bringing it back.
Hey, no problem, man. You know, I'm kind of in the same boat. I grew up on country and bluegrass and everything. And, you know, it's so diluted nowadays and mainstream. I'm not going to take away from the work that these other artists put in. I know it's a hell of a job to be in the music industry these days. But, you know, the art has kind of been diluted on the countryside. And, my idea with it is, hey, let's do some traditional stuff. And then if we want to make it modernized, instead of going toward pop, let's go toward a little rock, a little blues. Just trying to put a new twist on, traditional music instead of just going the same direction as everybody else.
Well, I got to say, I appreciate it. I've listened to all your stuff, and I sincerely mean it when I say it. It was a breath of fresh air for me to just be like, this is what I've been missing from country music for a while now.
Well, that's great to hear, Shane. I'm really glad you like it.
So let's start off by, the elephant in the room. We are in a shitty time in the world, and you're an artist, and artistry is a hard thing to maintain during shitty times. So how have you been able to cope and sustain writing music and doing what you're doing through what we've been dealing with for almost a year now?
It's maybe insensitive of me to say, but 2020 was actually a pretty good year for me. It gave me time to step back from hustling to try to get shows all the time and trying to get my name out there that way, to say, hey, you know what, this is a good time. I can step back, develop my brand, develop my online presence, and write some good material. It's a balancing act when you're an artist, an original artist, of, getting yourself out there, having to play cover music to get shows, having to learn all this stuff, and then having to go home and be inspired and write. The downtime has definitely given me some more time to just focus on writing quality music. And even the stuff that you haven't heard yet, we've come so far just in the last year in the quality of what we're making. I think that we're really blessed in that sense. Obviously it made it difficult. Some stuff lost steam, lost traction with shows and stuff. But just refocusing your energy on what you can do, and the stuff that may have been lacking while we were out there, hitting the shows. It's a business at the end of the day. So, it gave me time to step back and take care of some of the business side of it, and refocus and make sure I'm writing good music. So I'm thankful for it. Obviously not thankful for any of the bad things that came of COVID, but for me personally, it has been a year of growth.
Yeah, I think when people take it to a certain level of, I've said this before, there's there's the people that have the glass half full, the glass half empty. I'm one of the people that has a crack in the glass. There's water in that glass, but I don't see it half full or half empty. I just got to maintain that crack so all that water doesn't go somewhere else.
Right.
And I think 2020 gave us that opportunity to maybe refocus what's important and how to maintain a healthy living style, whether it be in what you're doing at work or what you're doing for your art. It's been a struggle for some people. For some other people, it's worked out well. And I don't think you should feel guilty about that. First and foremost, don't feel guilty about something being a positive thing in all the bullshit and tragedy that we've dealt with.
Definitely.
So I want to talk about, I want to get to know you, and I want to know you as our format and how we do things. It centers around one question. When music changed your life, that first musical memory where it was no longer looking at Sesame Street or listening to Disney soundtracks. It was you heard your first bit of real music that you said, holy shit, mom or dad, what is this? How do I get more of it?
That moment for me, and I apologize, there's a helicopter flying overhead right now. That moment for me was when I was 8. We were watching, my dad and I were watching a pay-per-view special. It was a memorial thing they were putting on for Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I was 8. He had passed away a couple years before that. And I was watching it. And I was like, dang, that's something like I never heard before. Because like I said, I listened to country music growing up. And then, we were really involved in the church and stuff growing up. And so, it was either gospel music or country. So when I heard Stevie Ray Vaughan and I watched him tearing up the stage on that pay-per-view special, I can say, without a doubt, that's the moment I said, I'm going to be a musician. So the next day I had my dad take me to the pawn shop and I used 4-H money to buy a little acoustic guitar for $80 and, started taking video lessons until I was about 12. And I took a couple of professional lessons there for a little while. And then it wasn't until I was in my 20s before I started writing songs. I was just playing guitar for church bands and various other music projects around the area.
So, I mean, that's pretty, you want to talk about a poignant moment in someone's life that the very next day you got to go out and have your dad take you to get a guitar. I mean, what was their reaction like when you saw that and you had that fire in your eyes? How did they just be like, okay, I guess this is it.
Well, they basically said, it's, your money. We raised pigs for 4-H, and that's how we were able to raise some money as kids. And said, if this is what you want to spend your money on, that's fine. But if it's something you're going to commit to, you need to put some energy into it. And I did. I played it every day. And I don't, other than going on trips and stuff, there's not been a day since then I haven't picked up the guitar and messed with it a little bit.
That's awesome, man. So when you do that and you're a kid, and did you have that, because I know I went through it a little bit, that struggle of musicianship as a child when you saw Stevie Ray Vaughan do what he did on TV, where he was, let's be honest, he was an angel on a stage floating around, putting out these songs that only very few, I think, could ever replicate what he was doing. But that was your inspiration. Did you have any times where you're just like, yeah, I'll never get to that?
I'm still kind of in that boat. I'm still kind of a mediocre guitarist, to be honest with you. I didn't learn as much of the technical stuff as I really should have. I didn't put in the effort to really get into theory and stuff like that. A lot of what I do is still by ear. So, right now, I don't know if I would ever hit that level. But I'm also not really trying either, because now my focus is more on songwriting and less being a guitarist. My skills never got to that level, and I never really cultivated them to get to that level. So could I have? Sure. Could I now? Probably sure. But it's just not where my focus is now. But yeah, I definitely would hit a wall. Like I remember, like 2 years after I started playing, I decided I wanted to try play and sing at the same time. And then, oh crap, that's a whole nother world trying to figure out timing of vocals and playing a guitar. So I hit a real wall there, and that took me several years to bust through.
Well, I'm glad you did, because I can you performed it perfectly with all the songs you've already released. So I'm glad you were able to push past that wall. I would guess, but I could be wrong here. So the first time you got to play in front of people, was that at church?
Yeah, definitely. I started playing in church bands when I was about 14. Funny part was I was a guitarist and I had never played a bass before. But our church youth group band needed a bass player. So my buddy said, yeah, hey, it's tuned pretty much like the first 4-string on your guitar. You'll get the hang of it. So I got up there and I played bass. I ended up playing bass for the same church for like 7 years.
Wow.
And I wasn't a bass player. Still not a bass player. But, made it work. And then, played guitar. And then when I was about 19, I started doing some leading stuff. I led a couple of worship services and did this and that. And then I never really did a show by myself until I must have been 22. Played a couple of bars. And then I on and off played bars, did cover gigs and stuff around town for, the last decade.
So what was your feeling like when you stepped out of that church setting and played at an open place for the first time for complete strangers?
It was scary for sure. I was super nervous. I didn't know how, I was always kind of like this awkward. I was homeschooled, I'm kind of, I'm not introverted. I'm definitely a talker, but it was just a new world. Getting out into the bar scene and playing music for strangers and all that. It was definitely a new experience. It was an adrenaline rush, and I got addicted to it. I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, and my favorite moment is right when you hear them call your name and you're about to walk onto the stage, and it's the scariest moment, but it's the most exciting thing in the world.
Yeah, it's that moment where you don't know whether you got to piss or shit or vomit, or you just don't know. You're just like, there's something going on inside of me.
Every time I have a show, I pee probably 10 times right before I go on stage. It's like every 5 minutes I got to pee because I'm so nervous.
And you're like, man, I didn't drink anything all day. I did this on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to dry myself out, and I'm still doing it. I do it as well. It's one of those feelings where you get that little bit of nervousness, a little bit of apprehension, because you're never sure if it's going to work this time, even though you may have done it 100 times before. Yeah. It's always, I don't know if this is going to work this time.
Yeah, I think you need that little bit of nerves. If not, then you don't give enough of a shit.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. I mean, you do. I need that little bit of the anxiety. Some anxiety is good and it helps you push through things. Some anxiety is really bad. I also deal with that. But I mean, that little bit that you may need, and you're like, okay, I got it. I'm through it. And then you're just off and running.
Yeah. I mean, we've all screwed up. The first time I did the national anthem in front of people, I did it at some drag races, and I started in the wrong key and did not make it to the last notes. So it's a learning experience every time. And even when it goes bad, I mean, you hope that people, understand, music enough to know that everybody's got bad days and good days, and, and stick with it for the ride. Cause, I don't know, it's part of it.
Absolutely. Now, when was the first time that you realized that you could write songs? When was it? And let me try to explain that a little better. When was the first time that you sat down to write a song and said, I can do this?
I don't know. I don't know if I could ever actually put a date on that. I started dabbling around with writing songs when I was a teenager, but they sucked. So, I mean, what do they say? It's the 10,000th song or 10,000 hours of writing songs before you write anything good. I mean, every time I write a new song, I think the last song that I wrote is crap. So, it's a constant, learning, trying new things, figuring out what my style is instead of just impersonating people that I've always looked up to. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest struggles as an up and coming artist is, we all want to sound like our favorite artists. At the end of the day, that's not what's going to get us big. We need to figure out our own sound. And so that's, that's part of it. It's an ongoing thing. I don't think I could put a time on it where I said, "Oh, hey, I'm good at writing songs." I still don't think I mean, I don't want to sound cocky and I don't want to over humble myself. I mean, I know we put in the work. I think we got some good songs, but there's always room for improvement. I wouldn't sit here and say, "Hey, I've made it and I'm a good songwriter." I still got a hell of a lot of work ahead of me.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to songwriting, it's the old adage of 4 chords and the truth, right?
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Definitely.
So when you wrote your first song and performed it in front of people and got a reaction,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's talk about adrenaline. When people reacted to your song that you wrote, I mean, what was that feeling like for you at that moment? Because playing in front of family and friends and showing them your songs, but when you get something from a stranger that knows nothing about you and you perform one of your original songs, I mean, what was that? How did you feel at that moment?
It was really cool. I actually had released my single "Heavy Load." I released a few years ago.
Love that song.
And I released that before I started playing it live, because I was still doing a lot of cover gigs back then. And I was at a country music festival and an outdoor festival, and it was just good time. And I said, "Hey, guys, I'm going to show you one. I just played it acoustic without the band." And so, I wrote this song about my struggle with PTSD and stuff, and I just wanted to share it. And I started playing it, and it was a small crowd. I mean, it was about 400 people. And to my surprise, a lot of them had already heard it and knew it. So while I was playing it, they started singing along, and that just hit me. I was like, "Damn, I don't even know how to describe the feeling when other people not only were engaged but knew my music and were singing it with me." It was the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a way to bottle that and drink that every morning when you wake up, I mean, it would solve a lot of problems.
I've had that moment twice so far in my career. That day that I played that festival and played Heavy Load, and then actually the last show that I did was opening for Hardy at the Ranch in Fort Myers. And I played another new song actually that I haven't released yet. It's called Yellow Note. There's a version of it that I have on YouTube, but I wrote it about my buddy who passed away 5 years ago by suicide, and I wrote it about him. And it's a bit of a tough song for me to get through. About 50% of the time, I can get through it without crying. So sometimes we don't even put it in the set list. But I decided to go for it this time, and sure enough, I got to the third chorus, and this was the first time that any of these people have ever heard it. And I got to the third chorus, and I start getting choked up, and I couldn't keep singing. I just kept playing guitar, and there's a woes section through it, and I pull my ear out, and I look out, and the whole crowd's singing the woes, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like the power of music. I wrote this song about my buddy who took his own life, and here's 1,100 people connecting to it. It's the first time they heard it, and they're singing it with me. And so again, that's the second time it happened, and it's just the most amazing thing in the world, man.
Well, we say it a lot here. Music, it's a universal language. It brings people together all the time. You can see so many different. One of my favorite things at live music is seeing all the different faces and people in the crowd that you may not suspect would be like, "Oh my, I never thought they'd like this music." But when people sing and they come together, it is really the one thing that I feel brings everyone together constantly. We're from all walks of life, and I've said it before. You can be somewhere else in the world that doesn't even understand the English language, and they could be singing your song, and that's just one of the most powerful things that you could ever feel in your life. I mean, it's one of those things that you wish you could have it every single day, because there's nothing better than it.
Yeah, definitely. It was a life-changing thing. I mean, and it's addicting too. I mean, now I want that feeling over and over again. So I'm just going to keep writing, good music and hoping I can keep connecting with people. I mean, that's what country music is all about, really connecting with people. So. Are you still there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I just I thought I lost you there for a second.
No, we're all good. So, Stevie Ray Vaughan becomes your first inspiration. Where did you search for more inspiration to keep going? And country music was a big part of your life. Did you have other things that you went to other than country music too, with rock that would get you to formulate some sort of different type of sound in what you were currently
Oh,
doing?
sure.
Or,
I mean, yeah. If you listen, back to some of my songs, you'll hear, and a lot of the influence in my current stuff is coming from my band too. When I usually write, lyrics or a melody or whatever, and I sit down with my band. I've got a really great group of guys who have a lot of vision, and most of them are metal and rock players. And I'll say, all right, here's what I got. Now you guys put your twist on it, and you do this, guitar, this, and we want to try to get. I usually tell them the feel, like I want it to feel this way, I want it to sound this way, and then, I let them have free reign on writing their own guitar licks and all that stuff, and it really comes out cool because a lot of the stuff I grew up with is country and gospel, and then as I got a little older, I started listening to more rock, and I always gravitated toward the 70s stuff. So I love Skinner and, AC/DC and all the other bands like that. And so, let's mix some of that with some country music and see what we can come up with. So right now, that's the direction we're kind of doing, country Southern rock stuff, trying to make, heavy country songs, a lot of heavy electric guitar, stuff like that, just something different. But I might not always do that. I get a lot of inspiration now from the brothers Osborne. They're like blowing my minds with every song they put out. I love that. I love their stuff. I know like some of it's a little bit on the poppy side, but a lot of funk inspired, and that stuff's inspiring me to write more stuff that's got some funk in it. So, I get inspirations a little bit here and there from everywhere. Sometimes it's just a line I think of. Sometimes it's a song I listen to and say, I got a response to that. I'll hear lyrics to a song and say, all right, what if that same idea was written with a different perspective? And so sometimes that's where I get it. So
it's awesome. Yeah. So I love you bring up AC/DC. AC/DC is the band that reading a lot of books. It's the band that people listen to before they go out on stage to rock out because nothing gets more pumped up than AC/DC.
Yeah. When I played baseball, my walkout song was always Thunderstruck.
Of course. Of course it was.
Always. There was a million other kids too, but I thought I was special.
So if you were to go back, besides Stevie Ray Vaughan, who do you think is the most person that you would lay your inspiration to, or even say, it's a hard question when I ask who your favorite band is or who your favorite artist is, because it's so hard to choose.
Yeah, no, I've got an answer for it though.
Okay.
I think Dierks Bentley would probably take that place. I think that maybe his direction now isn't something that I can, really identify with. Again, he's kind of followed the pathway of most Nashville artists right now. But his first few albums, I was like 14 years old when they came out, and that was the shit back then. I got down. That was, my style of writing. I liked his wordplay. I know Brett Beavers did a lot of his writing. I liked his wordplay and his metaphors and his mirrored phrases, stuff like that. And that was always really interesting to me. And so I'd say the most consistent inspiration for me over the last, 2 decades has probably been Dierks.
Listen, I can't thank you enough for having that answer like locked and loaded and ready to go. It's usually, for me, it's a struggle when people ask me to, but the fact that you had that's amazing. I'm right now I'm blown away. I'm thunderstruck right now by the fact that how fast you're like, yeah, no, I got it. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, I look up to the guy so much. I really like his voice. I like his music. I like the way it's composed. It's a lot, especially his first couple of albums. There's a lot of traditional honky tonk and stuff in there, and I like the way the songs are structured. So you'll probably see a lot of similarities in there between my music and old Dierks Bentley and maybe even some Eric Church. I kind of put those two guys kind of in the same. I know Eric does more writing than Dirks does, but as far as style wise, I feed off of both of those guys quite a bit.
It's great. So let's get into, we're in a new age of music, right? We're in a new age of releasing music as an artist where it's song for song. It's trying to figure out algorithms to get on playlists at places. Do you pay any attention to that as an artist?
As far as paying attention, like how many streams I'm getting and stuff?
Well, no, creating a song and trying to get it out as fast as possible so you stay in the foresight, or if you're trying to figure out an algorithm on Spotify to make sure your song fits in and gets into a playlist somewhere.
The more music I write, the less I pay attention to that. I'd say the first couple songs, like, all right, we got to get to the chorus within 45 seconds or whatever to help for this algorithm. And now I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm writing music that I like and music that I think other people will like. And, I would love to make it big, and be touring the world and be a millionaire from writing music. But I would also love to stay here in old Buckingham, Florida, and have my little 2.5 acres and write good music. So either way, I'm happy, so I'm not going to change. I mean, it's the same thing. We talk about Nashville diluting, modern country. I mean, I guess it just depends on what your goals are and what you define as your success as an artist. Because, we can change everything to make other people, in the business happy, but are we going to be happy at the end of the day? So no, I try to stick to pretty much just write what the hell I want to write.
Well, I appreciate that. I truly do. I'm an old man who loves music and loves albums, and some of the things that I struggle with lately are I find an artist that I like and they have 3 singles and there's nothing else because they're just trying to get stuff out there. I'm like, this is great, but I need so much more. I love the deep dives in the rabbit holes and putting on a full album and listening to song for song and hearing the story that the album tells. I think that's one of the greatest things about music and album formatting is the story that the entire thing tells, because you can tell where someone was in their life and being able to go back, and when you mature as an artist and things change, you can go back and see where they were at that point and what actually changed. When someone has a kid, you can hear the difference in their songwriting style. When someone has a major loss in their life, it's one of those things to connect with. And it's really hard nowadays with, here's one song, guys, have a good day.
Yeah, no, I understand that for sure. I would like to do a Twitter poll on that. That I think I'm going to do that. That kind of inspired me to do that.
Good.
I'd like to see how many people listen to albums front to back versus singles, because I'm kind of like you. I love when one of the artists I like, drops a whole album. I'll listen to the whole thing front to back in order. I want to hear that, that journey that they went on writing that, because it really is. I mean, each song you write, especially, I don't know how much other artists put into the order of songs on their albums, but the order of the songs on my last EP is the order in which I wrote them, and it was the order in which I was feeling the way I was when I wrote them. So, I want people to experience that journey, and so I'm with you on that. I don't know that in the age of instant gratification that's the common consensus. I'm not sure. I'm curious about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, people are into that instant gratification, and that's where sometimes I feel bad for someone who does put out that full album, and I think where it gets lost is you put out that song, or you're putting out a song every month, every other month, and you're just constantly staying in front of someone instead of putting out an album in May. And then by September, people may have forgot about you, especially now when you can't be touring and constantly going out and playing shows for it. I mean, I understand it. I guess I'm just being selfish when I say I just wish I had all of it at once.
Yeah. And, you can't really rush songwriting. I mean, some days it's easier than others. I mean, sometimes I can write a song in 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes me 10 weeks of working on something, So I try not to rush anything to make any sort of deadlines just to stay relevant. But I mean, we've got other ways of staying relevant. I can get on the internet and play a song on the guitar. It. I don't think that's a good excuse for it. I think, but if you're taking your time and you're crafting your song, I don't mind waiting for it if it's going to be good.
Yeah. So we hit the subject, and I like to ask if you, off the top of your head, have a perfect album from song one to the last song, all in a row. It is constantly you're putting on that album saying, this is a perfect album front to back. I can't skip anything. There's not one note that's wrong. It's just the perfect album.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one for me.
I got 144 to choose from for you if you want.
Oh shoot! I've got a bunch on over here. Man, I honestly don't know if I have an answer for you on that one. So as much as I exceeded your expectations on the other tough question, this one I'm going to disappoint you. I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know.
All right. Okay. So all right, now we're back to even keel. I was on a high. Now we're
Yeah, I've never been asked that question. I've never really put too much thought into what I thought the perfect album was. I mean, there's
so much, and I wasn't kidding. I mean, there's over 100 like things that I just think are perfect albums where you can just spin it the whole way through and just be like, yeah, that's the greatest.
I'd say I feel that way about Dirks' first couple albums. I don't think there's anything that I didn't like on those. Same thing. I'd say Chief by Eric Church. I really like that album.
Okay, so I am pulling answers out.
Yeah. So if I gave it some thought, I could come up with some.
All right. So here's my next question, where we get a little guilty on stuff. Okay. Is there anything in your, say, a playlist or in your collection that someone would come through and be like, oh my God, you listen to this? Like, the guilty pleasure thing where you'd be like, I mean, and listen, we're at the age, and with all the different types of music, we own up to what we're listening to, but is there something that you would really shock somebody that you listen to that's your guilty pleasure that nobody would think you would listen to?
Probably so. I listen to so much country and rock and stuff day in and day out. Sometimes when I just want to zen out and relax, I put on lo-fi, or like one of the artists I really like is Grizz. And I just put on some of that kind of lo-fi, chill vibe, relax music. And I really enjoy that stuff. It's real funky. And as long as it's not fully electronic and still got some instrument work in there, I really dig it.
All right. Awesome. I was looking more along the lines of Bieber or something, but that's cool. That's cool. We'll go.
No. Well, hey, you said what somebody would say. Wait, you listen to that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I listen to some obscure stuff, man. Whatever I stumble upon. I like a lot of not anti-mainstream, but stuff that's not mainstream. I don't know. I get down to Timberlake.
Yeah. Hey, listen, good is good.
Yeah,
that's just, it's good is good, and you can't deny things. I'm one of the people that if I hear a song, and I've said it before, like Justin Timberlake came out with a song, I was like, listen, I'm not a JT fan. Yeah. That song is fucking righteous. Like, oh yeah, my Lord, what? Okay, he's great. That was a great song.
Yeah. So, it's easy for me to just shit on everybody and say, oh, I don't like it because I don't like that genre, or I don't like his style or whatever. But exactly, skill is skill. Talent, whatever. I mean, if they got it, they got it.
So let's talk about Southern Noise, your EP. Okay. You already brought it up that the song order was exactly how you wrote the songs, in that order, and that's how you put it out. How was it for you to choose? Because I'm sure you wrote more than those 5 songs.
Yes.
How was it for you to choose that these are the 5 songs I'm going to put out there?
So
how hard is that for you?
The way I do things, again, I don't have much to compare to. I don't know if I do things right or do things wrong. I just do things the way I do them. And one of them is my way of sorting whether a song's going to work or not is through the writing process, how much, what the energy's like in the room when we're assembling it as a full band. And then I listen back to it, and I pretty much don't throw anything away, but I have no problem putting something on the shelf and saying, hey, you know what, let's revisit this later with some fresh ears in 6 months or something. But for right now, this isn't going the direction that I want it to go. And so it's pretty simple. We start messing with it, and I say, all right, that's good. It has potential, but we're stumped right now, or it's just not quite feeling right. I just put it away. I'll revisit it later on. And then sometimes that happens. Burn, for instance, the song that I put out in 2018, I had wrote in a totally different key and a different tempo, and the melody was a little different. And it was one of those that just never really clicked. And then we were jamming out, warming up before practice, and I started singing my lyrics over what we were just jamming in the room. And it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we can revisit this song. And so we completely tore it apart and redid it, and came up with Burn. So I don't throw anything away, but
don't ever throw anything away.
Yeah,
I tell people that all the time. All it is half the time is a sheet of paper.
But I'm pretty quick.
What kind of space is it taking up with?
Yeah, exactly. It's in the notebook in my phone, so it's not taking up anything. So I just pretty quickly can recognize this is working or this isn't working. So that's kind of how I made my selections. It wasn't too difficult to me.
Okay, now I'm going to go to, we call it pick your favorite child here. Do you have a favorite song that you've written so far? People may not have even heard it, but do you have a song that you've written that is right now you're like, yeah, that's my favorite song that I've written so far?
Yeah, my favorite song that I've written so far hasn't been released yet.
Okay.
But my favorite one that is released so far is Southern Noise.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the energy of it. It's fun to play live. You can get the crowd engagement, get them clapping. It's a good one. It's fun.
All right, good. A lot of people have problems with picking their favorite child, but you literally have a lot of these answers already ready to go. I like this. So what do you see? Let's hope by the summer we are somewhat moving back to a normal stage in society. Where do you see yourself? Here's your interview question for your new job. Where do you see yourself in the next, let's say, year, removing all the bullshit we got to get through with the pandemic and everything? Where do you see yourself going next?
I would like to, the next group of songs I'm working on right now, a few of them are completed. So my goal is to put out a full length within the next year. I'd like to get it done in 2021. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I would like to. So a full length album. And then I want to play, I just want to play more out of town. I just started playing, out of my hometown, really, right before COVID happened. So we were just starting to branch out. And I would like to play more out of town, even if that meant just, acoustic songwriter rounds or whatever. I want to get around and play around the country. I want to show my music to more people.
Well, I hope you can soon, for the sake of all of our sanity and the live music scene that sorely needs to come back. There's only so many live streams I can watch before
I've had such like a rebellious attitude about it. I'm like, I'm not doing any freaking live streams. So,
well, when it first started, I mean, I went to the very last show in New York City before everything got shut down.
Yeah.
I was at the very last concert in New York City before everything got shut down. And when all this went through and then people started doing live streams, I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do this. And then I got through like 6 or 7 of them. And I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Then you see all the, the people that you knew from high school that kind of played guitar all of a sudden are musicians, and they've got their Venmo up on their Facebook. I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know you were a struggling artist. You've never put a video of you playing anywhere for the last 10 years, but here you are.
Yeah. Look at what I've been working on forever,
Yeah.
which is 2 days ago.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I got to the point where we really missed it, and we were able to. I put on a concert in my backyard,
oh, that's
socially
cool.
distanced concert, because I was just like, we need live music. I got
Yeah.
pictures up on our website about it, but I was just like, all right, we were in like a little grace period, like beginning of October, where it was like, okay, things are starting to get a little better. I was like, all right, listen, my buddies in band. I was like, listen, come play in the backyard. We'll set everything up for you. And we had a bunch of people, and it was literally one of the best days of all of it, because everyone was happy. Everyone was excited. No one got sick afterwards. It was just like I was like, yeah, see, so this is possible. We can figure out a way to have live music.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome that you did that. I've done a couple of little gigs here and there too. We didn't go through as much of a shutdown here in Florida, which I'm grateful for. I know other people feel differently, but so I have been able to play a couple of things, but not too much.
So I don't want to keep you very long today. I appreciate the conversation we're having. We usually end this stuff with, it's called our weekly threes.
Uh-huh.
It's 3 things you're listening to right now. It could even be an audiobook, whatever it is, but 3 things you're listening to right now that you would like people to check out or listen to. They could be popular, it could be new, it could be old, it could be anything. But if you got 3 things you're listening to right now that you want people to hear.
Sure. I've got, let's see. I've been listening to a lot of Alan Watts, as far as audiobook or whatever you want to call it. So I listen to a lot of him. Going into my Spotify right now to see what I've been listening
to. What everyone does. Everybody's got to open that Spotify.
Sturgill Simpson, Cutting Grass.
Well, that was in mine last week.
All right. I just started checking out Long Violent History by Tyler Childers. I just started listening to it. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. I know I'm way behind on that, but I just started it. And I've been on a Steel Woods kick ever since I saw the news of Rowdy J passing away last week or a couple weeks ago. So I've been on a Steel Woods kick as well.
All right. Awesome. So my 3 for this week, first one is Noah Kahn. He's a singer-songwriter from Vermont, doing some cool shit. There is some poppy stuff in there too, but he handles it with grace.
Cool.
Which is what I like. If you can take pop and handle it with grace instead of just being over pop,
okay,
I'm okay with it. Number 2 is Charlie Simpson. He's a British man. He was in a pop punk band called Busted that was pretty big years ago. Then he formed a band called Fight Star. It was kind of a post-hardcore rock band, but now he's doing solo stuff, and it's brilliant. I mean, it is one of those things where somebody that can go from pop punk to post-hardcore to going to a solo career and just changing everything you ever thought, that pigeonholing somebody into a genre. I mean, he's done an amazing job creating something just for himself.
Any song in particular?
And then last but not least, honestly, I can't honestly tell you that there's one song by him that you have to listen to. I literally would just hit Charlie Simpson and hit play.
All right. I just followed him.
Yeah. And last but not least is Lower Than Atlantis. They're a British rock band. They're just doing great rock music right now, which is, I think, in some areas sorely missed, just having great rock music.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So those are my 3.
All those for you. Yeah. I'll check them out.
Awesome. Yeah. It's just, it's something different to listen to. I love our weekly 3s because I like getting other music out there that you're not necessarily going to find on your own.
Awesome.
So why don't you let everybody know how to find you, how to find everything you're doing, how to keep up with you, your Instagram, your Facebook stuff. Why don't you do that now for all the fans?
Yeah, sure. So Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find me at Cody Weaver Music. It's CODY WEAVER. music. And then I'm on Snap as Mr. Cody Weaver. And you can visit my website, www.codyweaverofficial.com. I have a merch store, a newsletter, and some exclusive content on there. So, and we are going to get going here pretty soon with more consistent stuff in the newsletter, with exclusive, videos and stuff like that. But we're just getting the ball rolling on that. But would love everybody to go sign up.
Well, we're going to do what we can to get people to do that for you.
Awesome.
We're signed up, so we're ready to go on this end. I wanted to say thank you so much for opening up and having some great answers ready for me. That was pretty awesome. But Mr. Cody Weaver, I want to say thank you so much for doing this. Keep doing what you're doing, and everybody, please. The EP is called Southern Noise. It's fantastic. If you need help getting to a link or you need me to send it to you, you can reach out to us and we'll find the easiest way for you to listen to it. But I highly recommend, if you're looking for the real country, this is where you go, to Cody Weaver. So Cody, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey Shane, thanks so much for having me on. It means a lot as an independent artist, as a small upcoming artist. We take all the exposure we can get, but platforms like this with an audience really helps us out. So thank you so much.
Well, it's absolutely our pleasure, and we thank you for doing this. And everyone out there, as we always end this, go out and have a great time.
All right.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions to myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.